As a Scrum Master, what's your day-to-day job? What do Scrum Master really do? Do they just sit behind and facilitate meetings and do nothing? Do they help developers in implementing their work? Do they help the product owner in making sure that all the stories are being written correctly? All right, those are some of the key questions which people were interested in getting into the Scrum Master fee act, and also these are also very important questions that are going to help you crush that interview in less than no time. Hello, welcome to our Scrum Master chat room. If you're new, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification so that when I put on videos like this that are going to help you implement what you are doing better, you can be able to take advantage of it. You'll be the first person to actually see that. But most importantly, if you need to get certified, you can reach out to me. I'll be able to help you with that. If you're already in the market and you're struggling to get your first job, join our mastermind team where we do some real life practical on how you can be able to land your first job in less than no time. But let's go into our question for today. The question for today is, what does a Scrum Master do? A day in the life of Scrum Master, right? And okay, so what does a Scrum Master do in a day-to-day job? What do you do? When I sit behind this computer every day, what do I do, right? Now, the first thing is that what you do is going to determine what events you're running for that day, right? So the life of Scrum Master is configured around events. And what you do is going to depend which event are you running on that day. So most company, for instance, my company, we do a 2 week iteration or a 2 week sprint, which means that we plan our work every other 2 weeks, and we run our daily our sprint planning meeting every other Tuesday. So let's say that today was a sprint planning meeting. What is my job for the whole of that day? Then I'm also going to talk about if it was just a daily stand-up, which I inspected it up, what is my job? And I talk about the review, and I talk about the retrospective, and I talk about the backlog grooming. So first, let's talk about the sprint planning. Now, sprint planning is more like the first event that help you to be able to kick up a sprint cycle, right? If you work in a safe environment, after you've done your PI planning, and then you're back to start doing the PI implementation. Now you need to start planning what are we capable of building within the next 2 weeks. Now, what you're capable of building is going to be determined by what the stakeholder want, priority of the stakeholder, and what the stakeholder want is going to be communicated to the team by the product owner, because the product owner is the main liaison between the customer and the team. And remember, there is only one product owner. There cannot be two product owners. So if you're a Scrum Master and you say, oh, I help the product owner to be able to write stories in the backlog and other stuff, you're not doing the right stuff. You cannot write stories on behalf of the product owner, and you cannot you cannot probably replace this product owner if they are not there. The reason also is because we want to make sure that there's only one channel of flow from information from the inside to the outside, so that we avoid miscommunication. Effective communication is a very important game in implementing the Scrum Master, because we are working in a fast pace. We want to build product very fast. We want to build software very fast, and we want to make sure that we create a very transparent board where everyone can see what is going on. The client can see, the developer can see, the manager can see, the Scrum Master can see, the product owner can see. Everyone in the team can be able to see what is going on. So because of that transparency, we need to constantly inspect and adapt and see what are the challenges and how to fix them, right? So the day of the spring planning, what I do is that I make sure that I'm checking with my product owner if we have everything available to kick off the spring planning, if there is any communication we need from the stakeholders or so. But before that day, it's something that we normally kind of pre-check. For instance, I have a day in a week I meet with my product owner just to make sure that we have everything in place. So I don't wait to that day of sprint plan if I start asking. But that day is just more like double checking, right? So I chat with them on my team to say, hey, our sprint is running today in the next 3 hours. Do you think there's something we need to do and all that stuff we need to fix? Oh no, Francis, we got everything great. Good. Now, on the day, I always send a message early in the morning to my team, more of a coaching message. Hello, team. Thank you. Appreciate you for actually completing the previous sprint. Today we are going to launch our sprint for spring maybe 1.5, and we're counting a lot on your support. And if you have any question you want to ask before the sprint, please do let me know. So I kind of drop a message of motivation for the team to keep them alert, right? Not that they're forgotten, it's in their calendar, it's already scheduled. But just kind of putting that pre-message, put everyone alert. They already start thinking about the spring plan that is coming up. So I also kind of double check to make sure that all my the previous stories are already closed, and then what we need to kind of move over. But then it's also a continuous process because there are a couple of stuff that I have been taking note on, or maybe from the last spring planning, from the retro. I also want to make sure that, okay, these are a couple of stuff that happened during our last spring planning, and we discussed them in our retro, and these are stuff we want to make, I want to check to see that they're not repeating. So as a Scrum Master, you're more like the watchdog for your team, right? You're protecting, but you're more like a watchdog. You know what a watchdog does, right? He's vigilant, watching, but it's also protecting you from the outside influence, right? So then when the time of the planning, let's say that my planning is at 10 a.m., I want to make sure that I log in about 10 minutes before. Why? There's been days that I try logging like 5 minutes before. Then my system need me to reboot, and it need me to connect. Since I'm working from home, it need me to also connect and have some failure, and that has been a bit kind of delayed. So I always say, log in like 10 minutes before. You cannot just now just close your videos and stuff. Be behind the scene until when it's time. So when it's time, you want to be the first person to be there and make sure that you keep the room lively. The spring planning normally Scrum recommend maximum of 4 hours for 2 weeks, so it can be sometime lengthy. So you want to make sure you keep the environment lively. So the first person that always log in into my Zoom, I always kind of strike up with a fun conversation. Hey, how was your day? How is it going? Are you excited about what is coming up? And if there's something I can talk which is a bit distractive, I can bring that conversation so that those who are coming in, they can just flow in that conversation. But I want to make sure that that conversation doesn't eat into my meeting. I just want to keep the environment relaxed while people are coming in. And most often I give a room for 2 to 3 minutes for all my team to join. Immediately all my team join, I introduce them to the sprint. Then I roll it over to the product owner to give us the goal. And the product owner give us the goal. We already have a list of stories we want to start evaluating and having conversation around them and pointing them. I share my screen and we'll go over them one after another until when we have enough capacity for the spring, we close it up. Now, that kind of take me back to talk about, do I need to check to see if I have the right capacity, if everyone is taking a vacation and other stuff? Yes, I always make sure I take note on that. For any of my team that is going on vacation, time up, I always make sure that I don't just have it in the calendar. I have another separate book, which I always write it in there so that I can just quickly go in there, check to see who is available, so, and then I cross check with the team velocity and see what they are capable of doing. But most of the time I rely on my team to say, hey team, do you think we can do more? Hey team. But I always try to make sure that they're not taking too much as they can complete, right? So, and then when we close our spring meeting, what happened? Definitely we have everything planned. I launch the new spring. When I launch the new spring, I go back to my team and I chat, hey team, we just launched a new spring. Make sure you're owning your story. In some of the teams, my team is a very high self-organized team, right? So if you have a team that is not self-organized, a baby team, you might need to do some babysitting. But I'm talking because I don't do babysitting, right? For my team, I let them pick up the stories, and when we're planning, we take into balance the capacity we have with the back end developer, with the tester, with the front end developer. We take into consideration, but they actually assign themselves to story. There's a whole lot of maximum collaboration within my team. But for a team that is still more like a forming team and you're still trying to build, you want to make them own stories within the sprint planning, so that you know who is doing what and if they have enough capacity and all of that. But for a team that is already a performing team, that's not a big issue. We just plan work generally and they own the story as we are building on. All right, so after my sprint planning meeting, let's say that we took 2 hours. I still have the rest of the day. What do I do for the rest of the day? Do I go to bed? No. Now, remember that as a Scrum Master, you are a coach. And you are a coach, you're a facilitator, you're a teacher. So during the event, you perform your facilitation duty using the skills as recommended by the Scrum Guide, right? Now, if there is something which your team need to understand, you also teach within facilitation. So Scrum Master have three basic roles. You coach, you teach, you facilitate. And when we talk about teaching, it's not as if you organize a class to teach your team member. No, you kind of educate, intelligent educating. For instance, if I come into my team and they say that, hey, because we have holidays tomorrow, I think we should cancel the whole of this spring, or I think we should extend this spring to be maybe instead of 2 weeks, let's push it to 10 days and stuff. Now, is my goal to be able first to educate. When I'm educating, I'm teaching them, okay, look, it's very important to do that, but that is not a good practice. That's an anti Scrum pattern. Why? Because if we extend it for 10 days, it's going to upset. It's going to upset the way we receive feedback, right? And it's also going to alter the way our report is being pulled out. So if I go back now to my Jira board and I'm looking at my report, I will not be able to easily look at the progress of the team and do my analysis, because some sprints are 10 days, some are 2 weeks, and other stuff. It's going to be difficult to really pull out that. Secondly, it's also going to abrupt the pattern. One of the key goal of Scrum is to make everything simple. That is why it is recommended to hold your sprint planning the same time, the same day, every other 2 weeks. The same for all events, the same for our daily stand-up, to really keep things simple. Why? Because we're working with the complicated project. We want to make things simple, easy to track, easy to identify if there's an impediment. Now, one thing you don't want to, I don't do in my team, I'm not an impediment remover. Okay. All right. That's a fun part, right? What does it mean to be an impediment remover? Many people say, oh, I have my team remove impediments. And sometimes new Scrum Master kind of feel like removing impediment is something which the Scrum Master is looking for. No. With me, I'm more from a business coaching background and also work on many project development. I've did so many projects before actually getting into the Scrum field. So I don't believe in fixing. I believe in building an environment where the problems self-resolve themselves. So I don't focus on removing, I focus on creating a good culture. So I sometimes do not really like an impediment remover, because if I'm looking at myself as an impediment remover, it means that I'm looking forward for a problem to step in and solve. No, I'm not looking forward for a problem. The reason why I enjoy flexibility with my team, because I try to create an environment that's healthy for everybody. People can easily communicate. They don't have to pass through me all the time to ask for any other question. They can look at what they are doing by themselves and they can be able to go ahead and get their solution. So, what do I replace that word impediment remover? It's like create a good team culture, create an environment where people can learn, people can interact, people can be able to just pick up like, oh, we're missing this, how can we really do that? And that is what you do during your planning. Now, after planning, the rest of the day, you just want to be standby. If you realize that during planning one of your team member was a bit low key, you want to just double check them at the end of the meeting. Say, hey, I noticed you were this. Are you okay? Do you need some help? And sometimes you say, hey, you have 15 minutes to really have a quick conversation, and just like you say, okay, fine. And they might be getting thinking maybe it's a question, oh no, I just wanted to tell you how great you did during the sprint planning today. You helped the team a lot. That personal one-on-one really make your team like know that they are appreciated. All right. I was planning. Now, the second event is definitely after your planning. You have your daily stand-up for the next 8 days before your spring review. In the daily stand-up, every day, what you do is that. Now, I do a couple of stuff during my days, and this has really been helpful for me. So I make sure that at least Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, I put out motivational kind of messages. Hey, this is what you can do if you're feeling too tired. Go out, take a 5-minute walk, or try to walk in space of 15-minute interval or 30-minute interval. You can find most of those motivation online. What can help a team perform much better? Just putting them in. A lot of my team members have been able to give positive feedback that, oh, those tips really help them. And also, they also help your team to know that you care about them and you're also there for them. You're not just showing up for meetings and then going behind the scene and doing your stuff. No. So daily stand up, you simply you help your team to be able to stay in track with what they are doing, and also if we need to update the backlog and other stuff. So with the daily stand up, the team actually answer 3 questions: what I did yesterday, what I'm working on today, and if I have any challenge. But you don't come and say, hey team, what did you do yesterday? Oh Peter, what did you do yesterday? What will you be working on today? And if you have any challenge, they already know that. So I just come and say, hey Peter, any update for the team? Peter gives the update. And hey James, any update for the team? James gives the update. But on the other side, if someone doesn't have an update, you don't need to ask them, why don't you have an update? All right. Then one other question I had today from one of my student was, what in a case where there's a conflict, there's a heated argument within the daily stand-up, maybe because of one person was supposed to do this and they did not do it, and someone feel like they were supposed to reach out to them and there's a heated argument. What do you do as a Scrum Master? All right, now, as a Scrum Master, you don't want to entertain communication that are not focused on solution. One of the easiest way to resolve a conflict is to have them focus on the solution rather than on the subject matter. Conflict are really kind of prolonged because people are arguing on, I wasn't supposed to do this, I was supposed to do this. But then if you kind of shift the attention to focus on, do we have the result? No. Okay, what do we need in order to have the result? We need this. All right, okay, do we have it now? All right, can we talk about this after this? So in a very simple and polite way, help them to focus on result. When you help them to focus on result, the challenge automatically resolve themselves. Now, for people that have beyond update and they have other issues to develop, we handle it after the Scrum. I call it the post-Scrum. Some people call it parking lot. I don't know how your team call it, but we handle it after the Scrum meeting. So, and after the Scrum meeting, if what you want to discuss involve the whole team might just stay back and we discuss. But if it's just for a specific person, I always encourage, okay, the others can go. Only the people that want to stay back can stay back. And if you just between team members, I always encourage them to connect offline and chat it up. I don't kind of be the mediator. Why? Because I want to teach them that they don't need to come through me all the time to get things fixed, right? So it's also a way of teaching, right? See where the teaching is coming. I don't put them, it's just like way your action and directing them how to do stuff. And then then if I constantly also have a team member that will say, oh, I was working on this yesterday, I could not do this, so I need to meet with this. Can you help me schedule a meeting with this? Yeah, I can do that. But one thing I was like, okay, can we meet after? When we meet after, I want to kind of understand if they don't know how to schedule a meeting, and I can see how I can help them, show them how to schedule a meeting or show them how to easily reach to that person. Because if you allow yourself to be the middleman or to be the mediator, you realize that there's a bottleneck stuff and they feel like if you're not there, things cannot move. But remember, the daily stand-up is for the developer. So even if you're not there, the meeting has to go on. But as a Scrum Master, the reason you want to be there all the time because you want to support your team. All right. What do you do after you do your daily stand-up, the days where you have just your meeting? You can be able to kind of support the product owner in some of the ways they can. You can be able to support your manager just by saying, hey, Mr. Manager, do you have something that you would help me to do? And sometimes a manager can say, oh, Francis, yeah, thank you very much. That's very kind. I was trying to just pull out some data on who is available the next month. Can you reach out to the team and see if you can put that data for me? Just those simple stuff. It's really going to help you stay ahead of your team. And then the daily review, what happened on the spring review, what happened in the spring review. So before the spring review, which is like the last bed one day before the next spring starting, what is happening is that we make sure that all the story are closed. All the story that are done are considered meet the criteria of done, are already closed, and then we close our spring meeting. We close our sprint. Like when we close it, typically all items are moved to the all items should be moved back to the backlog, except we have previously discussed that we should move some item to the next spring while we're doing maybe our daily stand-up or so. In the last daily stand-up before the next spring, what ideally I do with my team is to kind of have a bigger idea of stories that have not been completed with the product owners, if we want to push it further on, or if we want to implement that in the next spring. So that's also going to give us an idea to be able to recalculate to see what if we're carrying over some load to the next spring, what is the velocity, or what's the weight in terms of story point, and what can we add, right? So with our spring review meeting, we simply introduce the meeting, then the product owner kind of give an overview of where we are in terms of the whole project, and then the developers that were building the story, they kind of demo what they've been doing in vision to the bigger project. Then we receive feedback from the stakeholders, and then based on those feedback, it helps now our team to know what to adjust, what to update, and if they need to reduce some certain stuff, they do it. And after that, I now have a retrospective meeting with my team. And one of the ways around my retrospectives, which are really been interesting and very important, my team, I try as much as possible to change the way I run every retrospective. Now, for retrospective meeting, I know the goal is for you to be able to appreciate yourself as a team, what we did well, what did not really do, what we can do more better, and what are the action. But in some of the cases, I always start with more of appreciation. I ask my team, hey, I ask everyone to see, hey, what are you grateful for in this team? And I think this has been one of the most valuable meetings I have, where people were just sharing how others have been of help to them, how they appreciative of being in the team, and people really felt appreciated. And that really sparked up a conversation, and it went so well. In other retro meeting, what I do is that I may just come and say, hey, team, can just use a chat box, write one thing that is in your mind right now, and then everyone can put just one word. Say, write one word. Then we start the conversation from there. Hey, why did you write this one word? Why did you write this one word? And I move further there to start evaluating, like, okay, what do you think we're doing great as a team? So retro is just an environment for you to create and help your team to do really much better, a friendly environment, an environment that can enable them to speak out. You can use any strategy you can to really help your team do much better. And the last thing, which is more of a grooming meeting, I do grooming meeting with my team, and we kind of, because of the high level of organization we are, we meet once every 2 weeks, and we simply just meet the Thursday before the day we are running our spring planning, and make sure that most of the story are grown and they're ready to go. During our spring planning, we don't spend so much time because we're really good at our grooming, right? Now, for your team, it might definitely be a different case, but you always want to make sure that you do your grooming way ahead of time. If you do that, it probably going to drop down your 4 hours planning meeting maybe to 1 hour. Even sometimes we spend just about 45 minutes. So it's all about you being flexible, you finding a way. Agile is a mindset. Agile is not just, it's not a strict methodology you want to follow. It's how flexible you are with your team. But then let's get into the practice. So if you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and subscribe, and I'm gonna see you in the next video. My name is Dr. Francis, and if you need help with landing your first job as a Scrum Master, hit me up. I'm going to walk you through my mastermind interview on how to go ahead with that. If you need help with your resume, if you constantly get kickback from recruiters, okay, reach out. We're gonna sort that out. If you want to get certified, all right, feel free, reach out. We can help you out with that. But then let's keep the Scrum chat room ahead. I'm gonna see you in my next video.